What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about E3 yet again and its continual downfall. We talked yesterday, made a shorts video on Ubisoft. So Ubisoft dropping out, not doing it, and that one was more shocking because they literally said like a month ago that they can't wait till E3. Like they're super excited for E3, and they got a lot to show. And the rumors had piled up that that's where we're gonna see Avatar. That's where you'll see Assassin's Creed Mirage. So like they're geared up and ready to go, and they said, we'll do our own thing. I mean, that's literally what they announced yesterday. We're dropping it, we're not going, but literally one day before the event starts, E3 June 13th, on June 12th, we're going to do our Ubisoft Forward. They probably should have just started with that instead of kind of loosely promised E3 and then kind of took it away, but you had that. And now today, IGN did a little bit of investigative journalism where they talked to several, and some of them didn't answer in time. They went through the list of like a Warner Bros. They didn't answer before they got the article written, but some did. Sega and Tencent, two of them, that both said, nope, we're not doing it. And both of them pretty like not sure if they're going to do their own thing or maybe they'll do their own thing. But just this continual point that nobody's going. Nobody's going. I talked about this earlier in the day. I talked about the Metal Gear and Castlevania rumor with Konami. If Konami goes, they're going to be like one of the only ones that are there because no one is going. But this IGN report, it went deeper than that. It talked about some companies that, didn't answer them. It also talked about the two, in Sega and Tencent that did answer and said, we're not doing it. But then it went further into kind of anonymous sources or people that are like within the organization, people saying there's no way that this show can even happen, that E3, as we, may even imagine this year was going to be, is not going to happen either. At this point, you might get a digital thing. It's going to maybe smaller, very small companies that are doing it, and that's about it. It's not going to be much. People running with the memes and just the jokes in general about Jeff Keighley having just the best week of his life, right? Jeff Keighley takes a lot of joy in E3 dying. More joy, I've bagged on E3. I've taken some joy in it dying as well. Jeff Keighley's on a whole new level. Every time that E3 takes like an arrow to the heart, Jeff Keighley kind of gets stronger. Like his just persona kind of grows. But honestly, that's part of the reason this is all happening, right? The reason E3 is dying is just you don't need this, and we've talked about this many times in the past. You don't need this singular event. Yes, 3 days back to back to back of just nonstop press conferences and all of this stuff, these live events. They're awesome. And I'll always have my memories with E3. It's why it's so special. It's the nostalgia. It's not what it is now. It's what it was 5, 6, 7 years ago and then before then, right? E3s were legendary, and you would get everybody. It's just a combination. Everybody comes together and announces their things all at once. You don't need to do that anymore. You can do mainly because you can do your own thing. Ubisoft is literally, and although Ubisoft has its problems and people like to point it out, right? Ubisoft is the prime example of what's going on. Ubisoft was like in bed, they were ready to go with E3. The way they talked about it was like, well, if E3 happens, remember they said, if E3 happens, we can't wait to be there. It's like, if it happens, well, now we kind of know E3 may very well not happen. But again, good example because they're going to E3 and they say, you know what? Let's just do a Ubisoft Forward. We've done like 10 of these in the past. Let's just do that, and let's do it the day before, because why not, right? Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, why? Why go? And Nintendo was the first one of that big three, right, to evacuate, to get out of there, and they started that mass exodus. But you also have Summer Game Fest, and Summer Game Fest now is even having that kind of in-person playing demos. I think they started that last year. This year is going to be bigger. That's basically a mini E3, right? The fact that you can go in person. Jeff has his, live stream thing. And then the day after, whatever, you play your demos of the games that are there. IGN's article also kind of went more in depth with a lot of these events, right? The company actually has like, their companies, plural, they have like divisions of people that plan these things out, right? That go over the budget and just plan going to these events. And because of the events around the world over the last couple of years, a lot of these companies fired those people and got rid of them. So there is no like events, this party committee from like The Office. There's no need for those people. Now there is, but they're gone. So you have to kind of rehire them. And a lot of these companies are not up to snuff with what they were, say, 3-4 years ago. So a lot of these companies, even if they wanted to go to these events, they don't have the people that are able to like figure out the numbers, figure out the planning. They just don't have it. So we've moved on. I mean, it's a digital age. E3 doing that thing. I forget if it was even last. I think it was 2 years ago, right? They came back. They did the digital only. I mean, my God, I forget all these things. I think a digital show makes a lot of sense, and I think right now what E3 is looking at should probably be just go very low scale, except I guess anybody who wants to go at this point, just do something small, a couple days, maybe in person, be a large focus, I guess, on online. Now, I've talked about it before, I'm not oblivious to the positives of these events. You have a lot of people in the gaming industry that talk about them. When these events happen, they're good mixing opportunities. They're opportunities for people or companies or whatever, big and small, that would never otherwise interact, to be able to meet each other, to bounce ideas off of each other, all that stuff, a social event. And I do understand that is powerful. I guess that's just what a Summer Game Fest or a game. Now, a lot of these are controlled by Jeff Keighley at this point, but PAX, like any PAX, Gamescom, there are still these events. And again, it sucks. E3 used to be just this dynamic, incredible thing. I used to when I really got into it, I was in my later teens, so I would take the days off of work. I obviously wouldn't be in school because it'd be in June, so if I was in early college or whatever. And it used to be an event. I used to watch every show, even the first years of the channel of Podcast Now. I covered so much of it. They did horrible video or, view-wise, but I covered so much of it. I loved it. I have such special memories with E3. It's not the same. It'll never be the same. There's replacements out there. There's things that are good enough. There's online things. These companies can do it on their own. They don't need to give money. Don't forget, they take them, and Jeff Keighley does this too. You have to pay. You have to pay to be a part of this. So if you want to go to E3, there's a price for that. Jeff Keighley, to be at the Game Awards, to show a trailer, you can go on their website. I think last year it's $40,000-$50,000 or something, something in that range. You got to pay, so why? Ultimately that may backfire on Jeff as well, because you don't need anybody. These companies don't need anyone. Yeah, you might have the bad Ubisoft Forward or the bad Sony State of Play every so often, but you do it yourself. You don't need to invest money in somebody else and travel and all this stuff. You don't need to. You're losing that interaction in person and that mingling with other people. Yes, that's really the only thing you're missing. And if there's a way of replacing that, right, finding a suitable replacement, then there's truly no need for any of these kind of things. So sorry, E3, you've been dying. Ubisoft kind of just killed you yesterday. No Sega, no Tencent. There could be a few. Konami, I do think is probably going to go. Maybe there's 2 or 3 other what you would consider big, but not the biggest. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, not that. Does EA go? I doubt it. Why would EA go? At this point, why would that happen? So I don't think there's going to be all that much. And honestly, from that IGN report, it certainly sounds like you could hear an announcement within the next couple of weeks that E3 is just flat out not happening again. At this point, because they said this in the article, every past years, you'd have everything nailed down by now. So going into E3 of 2016, 2015, whatever, you would know everything by this point, or they would know internally everything. Right now, internally, they have nothing. Companies aren't sure. They're not sure. Nobody's even planned. So when they made that statement, and I hate this stuff. This stuff is so stupid. When the ESA, E3, when they make their announcement and they have that press release and say, biggest companies in the industry, they're coming. We got them all lined up. We'll start rolling out the announcements as we get closer. You're lying. You're lying. You actually have nobody inked in pen down to come. Nobody. Ubisoft was maybe one of the closer ones, and they're not even showing up. So who do you actually have? It's all just a lie. It's a business thing, right? You want people to get excited. You make stuff up. It's honestly pathetic, but that's where it's going, and that's what's going to happen, it seems like, this year. That's not the thing to watch, I think, in June. I think there's going to be other things to watch in June. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you're all subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.